All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for part 3 of Ask the King, episode 76. If you missed any portion of this show up to now, check it out on demand on the King of Hate vlogs. This is the third and final session. We got a few more Twitter questions to go through, and then we're going to maybe do a few questions from stream chat if there's time. This is going to be the shortest part because it's time to wrap up. All right? So, our first question is from Vietnamese Comrade, and he asked the following. What is your history of being a Call of Duty player? Do you think that the franchise will be slowly declining in the coming years after all that Call of Duty World War II online multiplayer failure? I played Call of Duty 1 and 2 on the PC exclusively. That was before there were valid console ports of said games because consoles weren't up to snuff with PC back then. And tried playing those games on like PS2, forget it, right? And I really liked them. Back then was the era when I was more of a PC aficionado and I always had kind of a mid to high-end PC. And I had a lot of fun with Call of Duty 1 and 2. I thought they were great games. Even though they were more old school games, old school combat, I really enjoyed playing them. Call of Duty 3, wasn't that the one that was made by Treyarch? I don't know if I played that one or not. I don't think I did. Was that World at War? If it is, then I did play it, but I played it on like the tail end where I never played it as a new release. I think I played it on its tail end actually on console, if I remember correctly. I can't 100% remember that. Okay, I do remember it was the one that had dogs. That was the first one that you could summon dogs as a kill streak, if I remember correctly. That's Big Red 1. So I don't know what I played. I don't know. I could tell you I definitely played Modern Warfare 1. That was a ginormous release. I played it on Xbox 360. I thought it was an amazing game. I played the living shit out of it. Because remember, that was the year 2007 when I was getting back into console gaming. So first I had been playing Halo 3 for like a month and a half hardcore, and actually I was highly ranked. I was doing really well learning the maps and everything. And then when fucking Modern Warfare came out, I never played Halo 3 ever again. I'm serious. Like, I just thought, I don't want to play this anymore. Modern Warfare was just so much better. Even though Halo 3 had its, the 2 months or so that I played it, because I think Halo 3 came out early September, and then Modern Warfare came out November of that year. So for like 2.5 months, I played the shit out of Halo 3, but as soon as Modern Warfare came out, that was it. It was just such a better game, better gameplay, better graphics, everything. So and then since then, every year I've played the next. Actually, wasn't it Modern Warfare, then World at War, then Modern Warfare 2? And I think that my Modern Warfare 2 was the first one that I had ever covered on YouTube, being a YouTuber. So, and then every year since then, I've always played the yearly installment of Call of Duty. So, there you go. Now. His second part of his question was, do you think that the franchise will be slowly declining in the coming years after all that Call of Duty World War II online multiplayer failure was? I mean, here's the thing. If you haven't noticed, the big announcement this week was that the next Call of Duty is going to be Modern Warfare. They're going back to the drawing board. They're recreating the game from the ground up. They have a new plot line that's kind of supposed to be basically the plot line of Modern Warfare from 2007, but now in 2019. The same characters are coming back, although they're voiced by different people. And basically, they're when you do that, you're basically saying we realize back then we were something great, and over the years we watered ourselves down into crap that's not good anymore, and we kind of want to go back to our roots. That doesn't necessarily mean that's what they're doing. It just seems like they're trying to rebrand the game to act like that. But if the game comes out and it still has double jumping, wall running, quick scoping, kangaroo hopping nonsense, then they've missed the fucking point. You know what I mean? If they go back and the game actually plays like a more old school Modern Warfare 1 with tweaks to it, that's going to blow me away at least. Also the fact there's no season pass this year at all, apparently, and all the content is supposedly going to be free. That's good, because with previous Call of Duties, I almost never buy the season pass, and I never get to play the other maps. I just play it, for a little bit, and that's it. So, that would be pretty good. I guess we'll see what happens with that, okay? The Fortunato Acosta asked the following. So many other e-celebs continue to collapse under the weight of trolls and just bad people. How did you find a way to keep doing it for so long while others just couldn't, especially considering your trolls are probably the worst on the internet? Number one, I have incredibly thick skin. Even though I may get angry at stuff, I don't let it deter me from keeping on. Number two, because as I've told you guys, the reason that the name the King of Hate doesn't mean what people think. They think, oh, it's the King of Hate because he likes to hate on people and hate on games and hate on everything. Wrong. It's because I take the hate that's thrown towards me and I harness it as the fuel to succeed. When someone tells me you're not good enough to succeed, you're bad a content creator, you're an asshole, you're this, you're that, fuck you. I use that to motivate myself to keep going and keep succeeding. And that's what it is I just keep going. Because, you know, these people, the worse they get, the more motivated I am to never give up. I'm serious. Like, the worst thing that could happen to me is if, like, in 5 to 10 years, I have no trolls, but at the same time, I have no fans anymore. Like, just no one cares. I would rather have a big polarized audience of people who love me and people who hate me than no one cares about me. You see what I mean? So for me, motivating me with that stuff, you know, it keeps me going. At the same time, obviously, when it gets to the point where it's so bad that it's detrimental to me succeeding, that's very disheartening. You know, can't get a sponsorship anymore from anyone because these assholes will harass the shit out of any sponsor that I possibly get and announce. That sucks, because everyone else has those opportunities to have these sponsorships, and I don't because of that, and that's not fair to me, but that's my life now. You know, but, you know, I keep going, and the fact that I've had so many people over the years tell me what I do has meaning, that it inspires and motivates them to do things, that's also what keeps me going. So, okay. Quack Show 7 asks, do you think you'd be more or less popular without drama, adversity, and mistakes that you've had to deal with over the years? I know it's a mixed bag, and some people tune in for that kind of stuff, but also a lot of people have probably been put off. Your opinion? If there never was a negative movement towards me, the whole "this is how you don't play" movement, which then turned into insane amounts of slander against me over the years, I still think, honestly, I would still be a semi-popular YouTuber, because in essence, yes, would my YouTube channel have declined slowly over time? It would have, absolutely. But I wouldn't have had the giant thing that happened in 2015 where my revenue went because I had to delete all those videos and my DSP Gaming was removed from the YouTube search engine. Because my revenue, no lie, it went like this. At first I made zero, nothing. Then in 2011 I started making revenue. It actually went up in 2012, like way up. Then in 2013 it kind of started going down a little bit. 2014 it went down a little bit, but it was still, you know, up there. And in 2015, just like that. All because the fuckers who did the false copyright strikes against me. YouTube would not work with me, would not listen to my suggestions. They would not remove the strikes. They said the only way to stop it is to delete videos, because they didn't want to bypass their own automated system. So it was YouTube's automation and refusing to have any kind of a system outside of the automation to fix false copyright strikes, and the trolls who submitted them against me that single-handedly destroyed me financially, because until my income dropped dramatically in 2015, I could afford everything I was doing. I could afford this house. I could afford all the money I had to put into the business, everything that I furnished the house with, the move, all that. It was affordable. I was paying it down gradually, but it was all affordable. When my income went in 2015, that's what fucked me over. All right. So you may say, oh, you're right. You know, Phil, now a lot of the reasons that you still have a following is because you're a controversial figure and people want to see what you're all about, and they hear the negatives, but then they want to come see you for real, and that brings in viewership. Oh, you're right. Don't get me wrong. In this modern era where I've had to adjust and become a live streamer and everything, I know that I get people who check me out just because of the negative shit that's been said about me over the years. The point is, if in 2015 my income wasn't halved, I wouldn't be in the situation I'm in now, and I wouldn't even need that. I mean, even if I had half the fan base I had on YouTube back in the day now, I'd be okay. The problem is I don't, because they fucked me over, okay? There's a bug on my wall that I have to squish. Hold on. Random ant. Where the hell did he come from? An ant? Now that's really random. Huh. Of all things, an ant. I'll keep an eye on that. Of all things, something to come through my office window, an ant. A small ant. And I'm looking to make sure there's no others. I'm like, why did an ant crawl all the way up the whole side of my fucking house and crawl into a tiny crack in my window? That's weird. Like, that's the first time I ever had an ant crawl in my office. Maybe it's just a random occurrence. I hope so. I hope this isn't like, for some reason, ants are going to start coming to my office all the time now. So, let me go get rid of it, and then we'll continue here. Okay. All right, first time for everything, right? Free Jerome subscribed for 2 months. Is regarding the polarized audience, you saying you'd rather be Hitler than your average Joe. No, that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. No, I don't. That's insane. Hitler did not have a huge fan base. He did at one point until he started doing insanely horrific things to entire races of people. Then no one liked him, but everyone was stuck under this terroristic regime where they couldn't ever speak up or do anything against him because they would be fucking brutally murdered. Okay? That's different than, oh, there's a group of people who don't like me because of slander over the years, but there's actually a group of people who like me because they know the real me and they kind of go at it. That's very different. I mean, that's the dumbest freaking, connection I've ever heard. It's completely an erroneous analogy. But the truth of the matter is that, not being known at all, right? Like, I wouldn't be able to do this for a living. If I was just a normal guy, right, and no one knew who I was or nothing, it would be impossible to break into this. You know what I mean? So I'm happy that at the very least, I do have something going for me. But I certainly don't welcome the negative shit. I don't. I'd rather just have it be positive stuff. So, Westside Rascal Cheese said, would you hit the Dougie in a crowded nightclub? No. Okay. You never find me in a crowded nightclub. That Spoon Man, or The Spoon Man, asks, in your whole gaming career on YouTube, what are some of the games that you were really looking forward to that ended up being disappointed in? Here's the thing. I didn't really have time to research this question and answer. All you need to do to get this answer is look at my most disappointing games countdown every year. And I've done this every year since like 2009, I want to say. So you're talking over 10 years, or you'll have 10 years now, and then this year will be year 11, where you can just go through and find my most disappointing games of the year countdown, and that'll explain to you in the countdown, is this a game that I was actually looking forward to and I'm disappointed for, or is this just one that just sucked? But in general, every year, there's a few games that I'm pretty much looking positively forward to, and then for whatever reason, they end up being awful. This year, I don't know if necessarily there's been that many in that situation. Give me a second here. Maybe to some extent Kingdom Hearts 3, just because I thought the gameplay of that game was really terrible. But the thing is, a lot of the games this year that ended up sucking, I wasn't looking forward. Like Anthem, I wasn't even looking forward to Anthem. I figured it was going to be a bust, and it ended up being a huge fucking terrible bust, right? I guess I would say for this year, Jump Force would definitely be one of them, because that game had potential to be great, but when it had just boring, grinding gameplay, it ended up being bleh, right? It could have been a lot better. See, I would say Sekiro, but the thing is, I still liked it. Like, even though I wanted Sekiro to be more than a one-trick pony game, which is exactly what it is with the parrying, I still enjoyed it because I ended up learning the parrying. You know what I mean? So, if you learn the parrying, the game is fun for one playthrough. But I'm glad that I learned it, because if I hadn't, I probably would have hated the game. Westside Rascal Chudy said, there's a lot of lies that detractors have spread throughout the years. What's one, in my opinion, is one of the most egregious? Anything that's, let me put it this way. Anything that's so, like, nasty about personal stuff that's completely false, that people would not ever want to watch my content. So, I've heard just a few. I'm a pedophile. I abused women who I was with by either, like, emotionally abusing them or hitting them. I've heard that one. That I did things behind the scenes that were messed up to people who I've been involved with. Let's see. Probably the one that pisses me off all the time is everyone saying that I scam. He's a scammer. He's a history of scamming. What history? Where do you have any evidence whatsoever that I've ever scammed a single person? Because if I had, I wouldn't fucking be here for 11 years. Someone would have found me out. If you think I'm some kind of a habitual scammer, someone would have determined that there was a scam involved, and I wouldn't be here anymore. You know what I mean? But they actually have this running thing saying that I'm a scammer, when there's no evidence of it because it never happened. I've never scammed a single thing ever. Anything that ever didn't go the way that I had intended it, I've explained to the people. I've explained about the Project 7 reboot that didn't happen, that all I was doing was a trailer. It was, agreed upon by my audience that they didn't want to see me do it. And there was literally one single fucking person, ever, who actually was angry about that and ended up kind of not being a fan of mine anymore. One person out of all my viewership was angry about me not making a Project 7 reboot trailer. But they'll, to this day, make up shit and say that I scammed people out of money when it never happened. It didn't fucking happen. And then they use that every time Phil says that he needs money, he's scamming you. What evidence do you have? Zero. So shut the fuck up. You can't just keep saying it and expect that it's going to be truthful. But the thing, that people are dumb and they'll just believe shit. I don't know. Other things over the years that people have said, that just piss me off because they're not true anymore. Maybe they were at one point. At one point in the past, people would say that Phil is racist and stuff. No, I was never racist, but I admit that I used to make way more risque jokes. But just because I made risque jokes at a time when those jokes actually were laughed at doesn't make me a racist. It just means that I really pushed the envelope a lot more back in the day on YouTube. And now today, people are a lot more sensitive. That's not really considered funny anymore, and I wouldn't make those jokes anymore, right? I've evolved with the times and changed to be a better person, and I understand why that kind of humor just doesn't make sense anymore. But, that being said, to say that I'm a racist because I did something 10 years ago that I wouldn't do in the modern day is bullshit. That's not a fair standard. That's like saying things that 10 years ago are the same as today is the same as 10 years in the future, and it's not, and everyone knows that. But not mature people say stuff like that, Well, Westside Rascal Cheery says that, anything about you being a pedophile is especially awful and untrue. Sorry you have to deal with that. Yeah. And the thing is, there's always been evidence on the internet proving the contrary, but people are just stupid. They ignore it. Much like, oh, Phil was never a high-level tournament player in Street Fighter, but the tournament results are on the internet. Ignore them. Right? To have their narrative pass. So, Mikey GTR Charity says, do you ever consider playing Dota Auto Chess? I'd love to see you play. It's a great game. Never even heard of it. Dota Auto Chess. Back to the Twitter questions, of which we have 2 left. Ptolemy says, will you be purchasing the next generation of consoles when they come out? Let me put it this way. It's kind of necessary, because they're going to be coming out within the next 1 to 2 years from all the information we're now getting. I would assume 2020 is when we're going to see the next generation of consoles come out. My problem is, financially, I'm shot, man. Like, I'm just not in any good situation at all. And you're talking dropping $500, $600 a console for a single console. You know what I mean? And the fact that I don't know how much they're going to cost and what will my situation be come next fall. When these consoles are released, will I have any money to pay towards that, or am I going to be in the situation I'm in now, where all my money is going to bills, and taxes and shit, and I just can't afford anything? It really is a necessary business investment. If I can't get the new consoles at launch, that's a giant opportunity of me covering the launch of the new consoles, unboxing them, showing you the launch games, etc. Huge lost opportunity for coverage and things that people want to see. But sadly, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do it. I might have to rely on people being generous and saying, Phil, I'll donate a console to you at launch so you can cover it, and that's uncertainty, and that's not cool, like, I wish I can't afford anything anymore. It's at that point where I can barely afford the games, so it sucks. Dragonfly tipped me $1 saying, I think the Project 7 stuff is more because you never offer people a refund after the project fell through. People pay money for a product that wasn't delivered and didn't get a refund. Imagine if a company like Sony did the same thing for PS5. Dragonfly, as I just explained, one singular person, after I didn't do Project 7, complained to me directly and said, I did pledge on Patreon for this, and because of this, I'm upset at you. No one else ever did. And the bottom line is you can't refund that. For example, let's say someone did a $5 pledge that month, okay, to my Patreon. What percentage of their $5 did they pledge directly to see Project 7? If I didn't do Project 7, would they have only pledged $1 or $2? It's fucking impossible to figure that out. People would have had to come to me directly and say, Phil, I'm angry you didn't do Project 7. One person did. I had a personal conversation with that person, and that was the end of it. There was no controversy surrounding this. The whole thing was completely fabricated by my detractors, saying, oh, there's a big scam and Phil, didn't do it and so many people are upset. One person was upset and contacted me, and I directly talked to that person about it. And that was the end of it. No one came to me demanding refunds or whatever. Nothing. And I did find other ways. Like I said, the next month, I had actually lowered the total amount of money that needed to be contributed to hit perks. I gave out free perks and rewards the next month as a result of me not coming through with the month before. But no one wants to talk about that. We just want to say Phil didn't refund, when in reality there was no way to actually refund anything. It's stupidity. The whole situation is stupidity fabricated by assholes. Okay. The Godfather tipped me $1. I keep up the amazing content. Your work is great. Thank you very much to the Godfather for that. Okay. All right. Last question, and that's it, guys. Yeah, because we're pretty much about to be out of time. So this will be the last question from Twitter here. From Insomniatic Meat. He says, question for Ask the King. I remember when I first started watching you way back in the day, you were so different from other gamers. You weren't a pro. In fact, you referred to yourself as the average Joe gamer, which I thought was refreshing. Watching someone who wasn't accustomed to beating different games and genres, using unconventional ways to beat them in some cases compared to pros and speedrunners, was very fun. Even though there was so much rage, I feel that you've adapted and become better at many games. Do you feel like you've evolved at least a little, or do you think of yourself as the average Joe gamer, and do you think you might still do a speedrun for a game that you love and you feel you're good at? I mean, undoubtedly, right? Undoubtedly. Okay? Times have changed. There's no way back in the day I would have been able to beat a game like Sekiro. Are you kidding me? With zero knowledge of a game series like that, I would even said if I hadn't played Dark Souls, or if I hadn't played Bloodborne, there's no way I would have beaten Sekiro. No fucking way. There's no way I could have gone into that game as my first From Software game ever and been able to beat it. There's just no way. I needed that background to at least have a foothold to start, and then to learn the parry system on top of all that shit. Okay? You know, and you're right. In that regard, a lot of people say, oh, Phil calls himself the Joe Average Gamer, but he's not. He sits around playing games literally all day long, every day. He plays every major release. How could he be considered the Joe Average Gamer anymore? I guess you're right. You know, I couldn't be. At this point, I've had so much experience, 11 straight years. And out of those 11 straight years, now 8 years of doing this full-time as my job, obviously I have way more experience under my belt. And I think that's why it's funny when people now look at game journalists. Their job is to write about a game, and you got a game journalist writing an article for PC Gamer. Oh, in order to beat Sekiro, I had to use cheats. I had them hack the game, and I'm okay with that. And it's like, but you're reviewing the game. Like, if you're reviewing the game, you have to beat it legit, or else your review doesn't count, right? So, you know, to me, that's kind of like, I understand that, but at the same time, I don't think I'm a great gamer. I think I've gotten better over the years to the point where I can pretty much you put any challenge in front of me, I'm eventually going to beat it. There hasn't been an unbeatable game yet, you know what I mean, that I've come across that I'm like, man, there's no way I'm ever going to beat this. I feel like if I dedicate enough time and effort, I will beat any game, but I'm certainly not a competitive player. I've never been competitive in anything but Street Fighter. I have no desire to be competitive in anything anymore. Even Street Fighter, I don't care anymore. And for me, it's like, yes, I've amassed this wealth of knowledge, and I have better hand-eye coordination, and I have more knowledge in general of certain kinds of genres of games now than I ever had before. Yeah, I can play a game that maybe normally for some people this would be difficult, and for me it's not. At the flip side of that, it's funny because there's some things in games that are easy for most people and they're hard for me. It's just a really weird situation with me. But I would definitely say that for me, yes, I have definitely gotten better at games over the years, absolutely. And I definitely want to say that I think that it's hard for me now to call myself an average gamer when for 8 straight years, this is all I've done for a living. The average gamer doesn't sit here playing games on their couch all day, right? So at this point, when I do play games, I have to understand I am playing, unless it's a franchise, like for example, a game I never play, like a sports game or whatever, an action game, an RPG, you know, those games, I've played so many of them at this point that I have to say, yeah, I probably have more knowledge and experience than most gamers, and therefore I may play it at a better level than someone else. And I just gotta accept that. Not much more, but maybe just a little bit more. Okay? A few more shout outs, and that's gonna be the end of the show, guys. We've got the Supreme Leader who tipped me $2, said 2 questions. What is your favorite? Or, I don't even know what this is. I gotta look up what this word fucking means before I even say it. I don't know what this word is. Let's see. Orthoptera? It's an order of insects that comprises grasshoppers, locusts, and crickets. He wants to know what my favorite one is. Oh my god. I have no idea. I don't necessarily have favorite insects, so I can't really answer that question. His second half of his question is, what temperature do you keep your heat lamp on? I don't have a heat lamp. There's no heat lamp in this office. But thank you, Supreme Leader, for the $2 tip. Westside Rascal Cheer, he said, before you go, I want to say I enjoy your content immensely, and you shouldn't let the brainless idiots get to you. Thank you. Someone whose name I'm not saying because it's disgusting, tip me $1 if we ever do a Toontown stream. I don't know what that is. And Crazy Dream did a $5 tip and says, thanks for the mods for a chill chat. Yeah, I know the chat earlier was kind of out of control. I know that some mods did, help, periodically during Ask the King. Usually Ask the King does kind of get a little bit out of hand overall. All right, I will take 1 to 2 questions from Stream Chat, but I'm almost out of time, and I got to get going. Dinner's ready soon, so I'll take 1 or 2 questions from Stream Chat to end the show. Let's see what people have to say. By the way, we will do Ask the King in 2 months. It's going to be roughly right now July 25th, which is a Thursday, but depending on my schedule, it may not be that day. It may be a day earlier or later. You know what I mean? But it'll be around the end of July. The thread is already up on thekingofhate.com for you to post up your questions, so please do. I just answered that question. No, I'm not canceling Ask the King. No, I will not be giving Dragon Ball FighterZ another try. No desire to. I already gave my opinion on the Call of Duty reboot. Will I ever play the MVC Classics again? I would love to, but no one plays them. Like, you're talking about the collection that they sold. It was Marvel 1 and 2, I believe. And yeah, I really like them, but no one plays them anymore. So, I would just be sitting there playing nobody, which sucks. I'm never going to finish the Neo DLC. I don't give a fuck about it. Code Castile says, it seems like I'm slowly swaying away from fighters. Am I tired of them in general, having played them back earlier in your career? Oh, I'm not tired of them at all. It's just that, for me, like, there's a lot of them now, and it's hard to determine what's even worth playing. Like, Mortal Kombat 11, I give extensive coverage to, and the only reason I stopped playing it so much is because other stuff came to take up the reins. But I'm going back to it. Like, this coming week, I'm definitely doing a stream of it with a new character and all of that. Don't get me wrong. Just because I cut back on the amount of coverage I give a fighting game doesn't mean the game's going away. But yeah, like, I'll play the mainstream fighters. Like, if there's a new Tekken, a Mortal Kombat or Injustice, a Street Fighter, that kind of stuff I'll cover. But Dead or Alive never was a huge franchise, in my opinion, and I'm not really too interested in it. And then you got all these other little ones that come out here or there that I don't even know too much about. I don't really care about, Like, Fighting EX Slayer last year, what a bust. I mean, even though I was interested in playing it because it was a throwback to a classic game franchise from when I was growing up, no one cared about it. You know what I mean? This name does not exist yet. Has subscribed to the channel for 12 months. Thank you for a year of support. This name does not exist yet. Madara has got his thoughts on Square's Marvel game. I don't know. We don't have any concrete details. I'll give you many thoughts about it when we find out about it during the E3 coverage. Okay? What is the sub goal for June? Great question. I don't know. I'll be honest with you guys. I haven't even thought about it. I've been so busy with stuff. I haven't had a single moment to really think about a sub goal for June. If you guys want to start suggesting one, great. But I haven't even thought a single moment about what the sub goal for June should be. So let me know what you think. All right. I guess that's it, guys. Let's end the pre-stream. Oh my god. Let's end today's Ask the King stream. I want to say thank you to everyone who attended on stream. Thanks to anyone who's watching this on demand on YouTube. And obviously, thank you to the people who live contributed. It's very much appreciated and it helps. If you're watching on demand on YouTube and you want to contribute, in the description of every video, there's ways you can, including the tips link and all of that. I'll return in 2 months with another Ask the King. Thanks for another awesome episode, everyone. I appreciate it. And I will see you next time on Ask the King. See you guys later.